Hi everyone, welcome to NoCode Shorts, where I interview no-code agencies and founders all over the world, showcasing projects created with no-code. Today we are having Josh from Sydney, Australia, where he's leading one of the gold tier bubble agencies. Josh, could you please introduce yourself and tell us about the project you are working on?
Hey, I'm Josh. I'm from support department. I'm the founder, and I established the agency in 2021. We're a gold partner with Bubble and predominantly just build in Bubble. I guess you could call us a micro agency, as there's just 3 of us in total, and we're working completely remote. I think what sets us apart from a lot of the other no-code and Bubble agencies is that our service offering is bookended. So we've got this sort of complete white glove, we'll build it for you and manage it on one end. And then we've got coaching and learning on the other end, where we provide guidance and support to founders to sort of build and manage their own apps. And we've even supported freelancers in some instances as well that are building client apps, and they sort of need to tap into some firepower every now and again. So, some of our clients clearly sit at one end or the other, but we also have clients that sort of sit somewhere in between, and we've got the flexibility to kind of move them up and down that scale as well, as their business moves through sort of different phases with funding and growth and so forth. So what I'd like to do today is introduce you to an app that we've been working on internally for some time now, and it's called Agency App. It's currently in alpha, so it's like super early days, and I haven't spoken about it publicly at all yet. So you've heard about it here first. Uh, Agency App is an app that we're building to manage our business. Client relationships, projects, billing, all of that sort of thing, all under one roof. And the reason to do this was that we were pretty unsatisfied with a lot of the existing tools on the market. So we decided to build our own tool so we can have things set up exactly as we like to manage them. So once we're happy with it, we will consider opening up access to other agencies and also to freelancers as well to be able to use a white labeled version of it. But I guess the main goal for us at the moment is just kind of scratching our own itch, as well as also building a bit of a statement piece as well that shows what we're capable of. When we jump onto calls with prospective clients, without all the restrictions that you sort of have in place when you're building client apps. There's always things like requirements and budgets and so forth that get in the way that kind of, sometimes mean that you don't get to showcase everything that you're capable of. All right, so I'll give you a little bit of a view beneath the covers. I'll share my screen and we can have a look and see what it does. All right, and here we go. So it's like I said, it's still in early days. We're still building things out, but probably one of the areas that we've focused heavily on in this first phase is around the task management. So we spent quite a lot of time to get this Kanban view working very nicely. We've taken a lot of inspiration from some of the apps out there like Trello and ClickUp and so forth. But the power for us is really being able to put some I guess some rails in place. The challenges of using some of these apps, which are a little bit more general purpose, is that they can do everything, and sometimes you can't sort of put your client into the box that you want them to work in and work in a particular way. So you end up
Basically,
with
some of
one.
the agencies are just using Trello to manage it, right? But Trello is like more general, right? So you build your own.
Exactly. And, one of the challenges that we had as well was that, one client comes to us and they say, hey, we want to work in Trello. Another says they want to work in ClickUp. A
Hmm.
couple more want to work in Notion. And, also the way of working in those apps. So even where we have one client, we may have multiple clients working in Notion. The
Hmm.
process of managing things is a little bit different because they want to manage things differently, and it can sometimes be a little bit hard to push back to say, this is how it works. So what we're able to do with Agency App is, put that structure in place, and people can't go and change it around.
And
So
of
we've got
course,
that
just
control.
to mention, it was built completely with Bubble, right?
Yes, so we have built it completely with Bubble. We do have some integrations, which I'll go through in a moment. We are
Okay.
working on a custom plugin as well. So one of the things that we were pretty unsatisfied with, and maybe because I'm just a little bit of a perfectionist, but I was a little bit unsatisfied with rich text plugins. So I kind of went down the
Mhm.
hole on trying every possible rich text plugin, and then decided I wanted to build my own, and realized it's not as easy as one might hope, but we're getting close. So this is what the task looks like, and I guess the thing that's most important for us from an agency perspective is that we can see all of our clients on and all of our projects on one screen, and then we can apply filters to narrow down onto someone can come in there, they can add a filter, they can see just the work that they need to do that day. But it could be 3 or 4 different clients that
Mhm.
they need to look at on that day. Hopefully not, but the functionality is there. Rather than having to click through a lot of different boards as you would do with Notion or Trello or whatever it may be. We've also got the ability to record time, add priorities, lots of basic things which you would
Sure.
typically have in a lot of tools anyway.
And you
We
mentioned the
do have
rich text editor, right? So this is the one that you've
so
actually
this is
reused.
this is not the one that's
Okay.
in development. It was not quite ready, but one of the this is just using one of the off the shelf
Mhm.
free rich text plugins, which works okay. But our rich text plugin will actually have two sides to it. So the more traditional text, but we'll also have an infinite canvas as well. So think of something
Mhm.
very similar to FigJam. And actually,
Okay.
the experience is very similar to FigJam. We're pretty excited about that. So being able to very easily workshop, user flows,
Sure.
database designs, all of these sorts of things, all right in the tool. We've also got the ability to record audio, which I don't know whether people like to listen to me leaving lots of audio notes, but I do it anyway. So we can leave audio descriptions. That goes across to ChatGPT. It gets transcribed, and it also gets summarized as well. So
Mhm.
I can talk for 5 minutes, and somebody can just look at the summary version of that, or they can have a look at the full transcript if they want. And we've got the ability to have a kind of full threaded conversation down below. We've got checklists, we've got attachments, timesheets. All of the activity is logged. We're in the test version at the moment, so it's a little bit wild. But yeah, we're able to
Mhm.
look at all
Sure.
of the activity, which is important for us as well, to be able to see, particularly if clients are changing things like due
Sure.
dates or they're changing priorities. It's
Mhm.
good to have this log. I work on trust, but in some cases,
Yeah,
we've
yeah,
had
yeah. And
surprises.
for the future, right, to have all the history about what happened with the task is pretty cool, yeah.
That's right. And just the ability to easily duplicate. As an agency, we find that we are working on some of the same things. They do come up again and
Mhm.
again with different clients. So being able to tap into existing projects and easily kind of spin up those tasks and refresh them is an important piece for us as well.
This looks pretty nice.
Um,
I have a question. Have you used any kind of an UI kit, or you built the interface on your own? How do you work basically, and how it was done?
Yeah, so we're using Untitled UI,
Hmm.
which is just living in Figma and using that as some inspiration. We're not sort of stuck to it 100%,
Okay.
but I think one of the things that we've learnt along the way is that from a UI perspective, what can kind of break an app is just getting the proportions wrong. So using something like untitled UI is quite good. So we can have a sort of that consistent
Sure.
layout. And of course, we just tweak things here and there to make it how we like it. We've also got classic things like notifications. We've got areas to manage. We call epics, but projects, clients. Meetings is still underway, but with looking at building something which is like an inbuilt Calendly solution. So if somebody was to subscribe to the app, they would be getting also saving from all of these little subscriptions that you would need to
Yeah.
invest in, and just having one bill.
And having everything in one
Analytics.
place, right? Including meetings and all the calendar, all will be in one tool.
Absolutely, because that's one of the challenges that you add a subscription for this and this and this, and then you times
Yeah.
it by the size of your team, and all of a sudden you're spending hundreds or even thousands of dollars a month
Yeah.
on subscriptions. So just kind of bringing that all in together, but it's not only important, I guess, to save the subscription, but also just have one screen to work in. I mean, you can see I have so many things open,
Yeah.
different tabs at the
Sure.
moment, and there is just that distraction, I guess, as well. We sorry.
I can sorry to interrupt, but I can see a pretty cool widget down there, play support depth beat. So this is also for you to play some music and
Yeah, this is just a little bit of fun. So we've got some lo-fi streams. I won't play it now, but you can kind of cycle through there and listen to some different beats.
this
Just a
is
bit of
cool.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's always good to inject a little bit of personality
Yeah, sure.
into the apps that you build. Otherwise, it does become a little bit clinical, and because this is also managing the relationship with our clients as well, so they get to experience us a little bit more as well. So this is the I guess the the high level. We can click through. We've got things like, you can see how little our website attracts in traffic, but we've got all of these sorts of things built in as well. So for clients, they're able to come in here. They're able to see the traffic on their site. This is just something that we include all within the work that we do, but it also gives us a good the ability to keep an eye on our clients' websites as well, and where we find there may be some abuse or something like that. Having quick access to these analytics is quite useweful.
And this analytics is some kind of an integration of external tool, or you build it on your own also?
So this is just we're just using Plausible and
Okay.
embedding Plausible. So it was very easy to get up and running. They've got a very friendly API, not as extensive as a Google Analytics and so forth, but you're able to get traffic volumes, sources, pages,
Yeah,
devices,
actually, I think for
locations,
most of the
key
people,
things.
Plausible is just enough, right? Not to dig into the details of Google Analytics. You just have the overview, and that's okay.
Absolutely. I've been working in Google Analytics now for years, and I'm still confused as
Yeah,
to how it all fits together.
good. So
Uh,
how about jumping into the editor and see how the app uh, was done, right? Because this is also super interesting.
so here we are on the app page. The app page is the key page that clients will access. So all of these functions are all sitting on the app page. And if I dig into the details here, so for our tasks, we can click in here. We're using the Dragit plugin, which does enable us to have a drag and drop functionality. And we're also using a little bit of custom CSS as well. And I think that's one of those things that if you are trying to build this really polished experience in Bubble, depending on what you're looking to do, you sometimes need to resort to some custom CSS. So things like our scroll bars here, and also sort of being able to have this sort of experience as the screen size changes, is all using some custom CSS.
And you are using the custom CSS by putting the HTML MLN on the page and putting the CSS there, or using some kind of a plugin to include CSS?
No, this is just using HTML,
Mhm.
and also we are accessing. We've got some calculations that are happening as well, where we are calculating different
The height or
heights
the, yeah.
based on
Mhm.
particular elements and so forth, to be able to, particularly in this particular case, it's not possible to do something like
Yeah.
this natively in Bubble.
Yeah,
So
but this is important.
uh,
This may be important for the people, right, to know that if it's not possible in Bubble, it's possible by just injecting a small CSS, and now it's possible, right? So,
absolutely, and it's not too tricky at all. If you are exposing an option to add the ID attribute to HTML elements, you sort of click this on, and this will give you the ability to then reference different elements, do calculations, these sorts of things. So an incredibly powerful thing to do. And ChatGPT will be your friend if you're not familiar with CSS in terms of what you need to do there. It's not perfect. It does get things wrong, but it's pretty
yeah.
proficient with CSS. So I
And
think
speaking about ChatGPT, you've mentioned that you are using ChatGPT to summarize the audio you are recording. Could you guide us through the workflow of this? Also, are you using some plugins to record audio and then stream it to ChatGPT, or using just a straight API connector? Could you tell us more about how it's done?
so we have many recorders on the page, and if I just flip back into the app for a moment, so we are able to do a recording for the description, and then for each comment. So imagine Slack, how you're able to have a whole conversation of voice messages, and I won't click it because it'll stop the recording, but we are using a plugin. Let me come into this reusable element. So we're using a plugin, I think it is called Recorder, which is doing the recording. So this is just a very standard audio recording plugin. The file gets saved into Bubble's storage, and
And you
then we're
keep all these
passing.
files also, you are keeping all these files with the recordings, or only the summaries from ChatGPT?
No, so we're keeping the recordings as well. I think this is perhaps something that we may need to revisit at some point if storage becomes an issue, but also giving people the ability to listen to the audio uh, back as well, because I think they're, a summary transcription is good, the transcription is good, but also some people also just like to listen to the audio while they're, drinking their coffee or doing something else.
Yeah.
So we give people the absolute flexibility around that. Like I said, we may have an issue around storage for archived and deleted tasks and so forth at some point, but that's not an issue for us now. So then, yes, once the recording happens, we pass that across to ChatGPT, and it's using the Whisper service to first transcribe the audio. So that's where we get that sort of base transcription, and then we pass that transcription across once again, and then ask for it to be summarized, and then it comes back. So we've got those two
And for
two
the for
possibilities.
the for the OpenAI integration, are you again using the direct API integration, or you are
Yeah,
using some kind of a plugins?
just using the
Just
direct.
using it.
I
Mhm.
hope my API can, oh, you can't see the whole thing, so I think
Yeah, so
that's
that just the, yeah, okay, just
fine.
the direct API. Why are you're not using many of the plugins, the OpenAI plugins, which are in the Bubble store? Because there are two approaches, either to use as much plugins or use your own API connection.
So I think the plugins that just sort of sit above an API, I think are quite good for beginners. I think for somebody who's a little bit more advanced with Bubble, having access to be able to tweak the API call, I find is quite powerful. And in a lot of cases, I find I can do it quicker because I'm very proficient in working with the API connector. But probably one of the biggest things that I've encountered, particularly in the early days when I was looking at doing Stripe integrations and I was using plugins for Stripe, and I would get these very generic error codes that made it very difficult for me to understand what was going wrong. And there was often some parameter that wasn't in the right format or wasn't included, and it needed to be included. And I think from that moment on, I just knuckled down, learnt how the API connector worked, and I'll always use that. Well, in the majority of cases, I will use that
Cool.
over plugins. But yeah, if I'm a new user, I think it's a good place to start.
So at the end, could you also show us how you organize workflows? Because this is pretty interesting, especially, working with many workflows and organizing them. This is kind of a tricky for the users who are just starting with Bubble.
Yes, so I think there's probably some cleanup that we need to do here, but what we will in this particular app, we have a lot of database triggers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we've got a lot of database triggers, and then we have some API workflows here, which are grouped together with colors. We
Mm-hmm.
do also have some workflow folders as well. So we are able to, filter down on some particular workflows. So I find there's no one simple way, I think, to organize your workflows. I find a combination of colors and folders seem to work best. Also, it's important to look at the naming conventions that you use as well, because Bubble is just going to automatically kind of sort everything by alphabetical order. So you can use numbers, emojis, these sorts of things to organize and provide a little bit of structure. But I think, I wouldn't say that this is our best work in terms of organizing workflows. But we're still in development at the moment.
Yeah. But also, this is an internal app that you are making it for you, and not for the client. So basically, if you are doing it for the client and passing it then for the further development, the workflows should be named that the client can manage it in them as well. And also, as you are using a lot of reusables, that means that all the workflows sit there, and you don't have all the workflows, for example, on one page, right, on app page. So.
Absolutely. So that's another very important thing to do. So this app page is incredibly complicated. There's quite a lot on there, but we have very few workflows. This is really just to support navigation and some elements that need to sit at that page level. The workflows for those as well. So yeah, I think if we look across a lot of these reusable elements, in most cases, they're only used in one spot. We have some things like custom dropdowns, which are used in various spots throughout the app. But something like the task dashboard, the only reason we've used a reusable element is to be able to break up that logic and make it easier to
Yeah, I've
manage.
seen too many apps, with hundreds of workflows on one page, and it's being unmanageable in long term. So it's very important to use these reusables.
Absolutely. Yeah, it means that the workflows folder is a lot simpler. The design canvas is a lot simpler, and
Yeah.
they also load a lot faster as well.
At the end, could you give an advice for the people who are considering going with no code and going with Bubble and becoming a Bubble developer? I mean, one reason why they should and one reason why they shouldn't.
Yes, so it's a very good question. I think Look, no code is very quick and easy to get started, and I see a lot of founders. If I'm looking in the context of a founder, uh, spinning up a bubble app or a no code app on another platform, and being able to, get their business started and then move forward from there. I think you do need to be realistic though around, it is a completely new skill set that does need to be learned. So while you can make a lot of progress in a short space of time, do need to have your expectations set. You're not trying to build the next Facebook or TikTok or something like that. Those things are still quite difficult to do on no code. So I think, starting at something quite simple and then getting your business started and then iterating from there. I've seen founders do this and be very successful in the process. Now, for one of those things where I would say perhaps no code is not the right tool for or the not the right approach for you. And unfortunately, I think it's if you've got a mobile first app that you're looking to build. And I think that's perhaps a little bit controversial. And I think I'll probably get some hate mail at the end of from some people that are watching this now. But we've built mobile apps using wrappers, that sit across above a bubble app. We've used some tools like Flutterflow and so forth. I think they're good as companion apps, uh, particularly for an enterprise or a small business or something like that that just needs an app to do something very simple when employees are on the go or something like that. But if you're looking to build a consumer grade app that you're expecting people to spend a lot of time in, and you want it to be this very polished experience, particularly if you're targeting younger audience, I just don't think that the tools are there yet to be able to deliver the experience that you would like to deliver. Having said that, Bubble is working on releasing mobile apps. I think that's maybe coming later this year or early next year. And maybe that will be that kind of tipping point within the industry that will mean that building a web app or a mobile app with no code tools is definitely doable.